Hi there, I'm Allison with Keeping the Peas, and today I'm going to show you how to press tofu. So there are really two main ways to press tofu. One is to do it manually with just tools that you have around your home, and the second way is to use a tofu press. So there are two different types of tofu presses out there, and I have a couple of them to show you today. So the first kind of tofu press looks a little something like this. So this type of tofu press has a few components. The first one is your water tray. So this will be the bottom of where you'll put your tofu. This tray will catch all of the water. This is a spring-based tofu press. So you'll place the spring in the center here. This is the middle tray. So you'll put your middle tray on top of the spring, and then you'll place your tofu block inside of the middle tray. You'll notice that there are some holes here so that the water can be expressed. So that goes on top like so. The tofu goes in the center, and then this is the top tray. So you'll put this on top, and then you'll press it all the way down until you get it down so that you can snap the sides here. So the reason I really love the springform tofu press is because there is no active time on my part. All I need to do is stick the tofu inside. I need to, make sure that it's firm and in place, and then stick it in the refrigerator or on the countertop for 15 to 20 minutes. I don't have to do anything else. The other thing I love about the springform press is that when you're pressing it using tools that you have at home, sometimes you don't get an even press. And that is because if you're balancing heavy objects on top of your tofu, sometimes one side might be heavier than the other, or maybe, something shifts, and then what ends up happening is that you'll have one side pressed more than the other side. Also, if you're doing it at home, which I'll show you in just a minute, is that you're going to need to change your towel or your paper towels that you're using to soak up the water. In this case, all the water is drifting down into this bottom bowl here. So there's no need to change anything. It's really simple. So this is my easy tofu press using the screw method. I've got my two plates on either side, and then I have these screws that I use to tighten it. So the first thing you want to do is loosen this up. Oop, other way. Loosen it up like so. Okay. I'm going to place my tofu block inside of here. I want to screw it in place so that it's firm and won't move. Okay. So now it's pretty firmly in place. Then I'm going to tip it on the side. The water is going to fall onto the plate. Now, with this method, you want to screw it tighter every 2 to 4 minutes for about 20 minutes or so, 20 to 30 minutes. So the things I like about the screw tofu press is that it's a really simple design. And it is easier than using the method of putting something heavy over the tofu using objects that you have at home. The thing I don't love about this tofu press is that it does take time on your part. So active time where you need to be thinking about and screwing this tighter every 2 to 4 minutes. Now, when I'm meal prepping with tofu, I'm usually serving it with something else. So with a stir-fry veggies, or for a scramble, so I'm chopping vegetables or preparing brown rice or even making a curry. When I am pressing my tofu, I'll be prepping those other ingredients. In this case, it makes it challenging to prep those other ingredients and save time when you're constantly thinking about screwing this tighter and tighter. It does have easy cleanup, so similar to the screw press, all the water drips onto the plate and you just have to dispose of the water in the sink. So the next method I'm going to show you is how you can press tofu, and you don't need any special tools. All of these are things that you can find in your kitchen. So anytime you need to press tofu, you got what you need. So here are the things that you're going to need to press tofu using the tools that you have at home, no special equipment. You will need a cutting board. I use a small cutting board just to make it easier on myself. You'll also need a heavy duty pan and either some heavy books or you can use canned food items. You also need a kitchen towel or paper towel. So the first thing you're going to do is take your tofu, place it on your paper towel, and you're gonna wrap it up. Okay, so you can already feel that it's starting to soak up some of that water. Wrap it up a little bit here. Okay. All right, let's keep it kind of like this. All right, then the next step is you're gonna place it on your plate. So I'm gonna place it on my plate like this. And then I'm going to put my pan over top. Actually, this way will work better. Over top like this. And then I'm gonna place my cutting board on top. This just kind of gives it a little bit more of an even surface for the heavy items to come on top of. So as you can see, this method is a little bit more difficult. Things are balancing a little bit already. I kind of have to move things around just to make sure it all balances well, because the tofu, of course, is smaller than the pan and the cutting board, so things might wobble a little bit. All right, next I want to carefully put a heavy book on top. All right, so I'm going to carefully put this on top and see how it balances out. Seems to be doing okay. So see, it's balancing there. Now you can choose just to do one. Depends on how heavy you want it to get. The heavier that you do have it, the more chance it has to wobble. So you'll see it's still a little bit wobbly, but it'll do. So now that you have everything sort of set up and balanced here, you're going to give it about 15, 20, even 30 minutes just to soak. Now the one thing I do recommend is changing your dish towel or your paper towel maybe halfway through the process, because it will soak up a lot of the water that you want to get rid of. So that's a good option. Or you can double it up, but that makes it a little bit more difficult to balance all of the items on top. So those are the three main ways to press tofu. You have the method of using a spring press, the method of using a screw press, or using heavy objects in your home that you can just balance on top of your tofu using a paper towel or a kitchen towel. Now, I have done the third way, the home way, for most of the time. And then I found myself using tofu on a weekly basis and decided that it was time for me to invest in a tofu press to save myself a little bit of time, as well as making sure that I have the best pressed tofu. The results are somewhat similar when you're doing any of the presses. It just really depends on what you prefer. And if you have any questions about pressing tofu, please let me know in the comments